Hello there and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be continuing on with my all-time favourite of AliExpress makeup videos. I've already done a couple of videos in this series, and yes, she's a series. Honestly, when I filmed the first part of this series and I said it was a series, even I was kind of questioning myself, kind of doubting myself. I was thinking, Anwen, you've never followed through with anything before, so what makes you think you're actually going to be committed to this series? But do you know what? I have surprised myself because I am super committed. So we've already covered my favourite base products from AliExpress. We've done my favourite eye kind of general products, and today we're going to be covering my all-time favourite eyeshadow palettes. So I feel like out of every single video, this is the one that I'm just so excited about because I think that AliExpress has some wonderful eyeshadow palettes. They're really good value for money, and most importantly, good quality. By the way, if you can hear like a kind of rumbling sound that kind of sounds like, is it an earthquake? Is it a hurricane? Like, what is it? That's just my tummy rumbling because I've not had my breakfast yet. I don't know why, but I've not. I'm just going to jump into this after having talked for almost 2 minutes. I'm going to jump right in, and I'm just going to begin with the very first palette, which of course is my palette. I mean, can you criticise me for you know, not just mentioning my own palette, but putting it first? No. Okay, so the first eyeshadow palette that I want to mention today, and by the way, these are in no specific order apart from this one, because this definitely is my number one eyeshadow palette ever in the world. So this is my palette, of course. I mean, she is the best. She's the best ever. So if you have not met her before, this is the beautiful Cellophane palette. I made her in collaboration with Ucanbe, who are definitely one of my favourite makeup brands on AliExpress. So I created this palette with Ucanbe last year, and honestly, like, this is an understatement, but I have never been quite so terrified of any endeavour that I've ever put my name to before. You know, on the one hand, there were elements of this palette that were in my control, but then there were a lot of elements that were not in my control, such as, you know, what was the quality going to be like, what's the formula going to be like, and it kind of terrified me to like put my name on the palette and not quite know. I mean, obviously I did receive the palette, you know, first, so I knew the palette was great by the time, you know, she went on sale, but I didn't really get that opportunity to be like sampling different shadows. I mean, all I really had to go off was Ucanbe's previous eyeshadow palette formulas, which, you know, I've always loved for the most part. So I just kind of put all my hopes and prayers on Ucanbe, just, you know, turning out a great quality product. But you know what, I was not disappointed, and I feel genuinely like the formula of these eyeshadows are the best Ucanbe have ever made. And I know you're probably sat there thinking, okay, well, of course Anwen is going to say that, but like, I remember when I first tried this palette, I was really nervous. I was upstairs. I made myself do like a big wee beforehand so that I could just get the nervous wee out. And I was just on the top of the stairs, and I opened her up full of trepidation, and I started to swipe. And I was doing my swatches, and I did a dance. I did a dance, a victory dance. I was happy. I immediately phoned Honeys. I said, Honeys, this palette is wonderful. I'm so happy with it. And it was just such a great moment. It really was, because you know what? If this palette was shit, there's no way I could have had my name on it. I would have just... I mean, I already did have a plan, and don't tell Ucanbe this, like, do not tell them, but I did have a plan in place that if the palette turned out to be shit, there was no way I was going to be like, just take my name off it right now, because there's no way I could stand behind a palette that I didn't enjoy myself. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, so we have the beautiful kind of vibrant peachy shade, which on the eye, it just looks super autumnal. It just turns your eye into like the depth of autumn, like New England in October. It's just so beautiful. I also went with some neutrals at the bottom because I have these colourful shades, and to be able to make the most of them, you do definitely have to have some neutrals within the palette. I wanted to make sure that I had some really fantastic metallics, which I do have. I've got an interesting marble shade, which is a beautiful duochrome. I wanted the palette to be whimsical. I wanted it to be glamorous. I wanted it to be colourful, be playful, but also I wanted it to be everyday. I just wanted everything, and I definitely feel like I got it within this palette. The formula is exceptional. It's top notch. This palette costs $10.99 if you buy her from Amazon. Oh, do you know what I've just realised? This video is my top favourite eyeshadow palettes from AliExpress. She ain't being sold on AliExpress. Do you know what? I got carried away. I was just thinking that top eyeshadow palette's mine, but I've completely forgot. So do you know what? I'm going to wrap this up, but at least, like, you know, if you've not seen it before, like, you've got to see her. So yeah, unfortunately she's not currently available on AliExpress. I don't know if there's any plans for her to be, but you can get her from Amazon, and you can get her from the Ucanbe official store. I'm going to very reluctantly close her back up now because, yeah, she's not real. What's going on? What happened? Are my earrings sticking to the palette? Oh my gosh! My earrings obviously love the palette so much they're saying, Amanita, don't close her. Keep her open. We want her to be there, to be seen. But I mean, really, like, okay, guys, come on now. Can I end this love affair that you seem to be having? I mean, really? Anyway, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. But anyway, okay, so guys, I feel like now we're actually going to begin with the video. So the next palette, which actually, you know, you'll be very glad to know is from AliExpress, is by Tease. Is it even from AliExpress? I'm doubting myself now. Let me just double check this palette can be found on AliExpress. I just have to check. Okay, so after having reviewed some of these palettes and whether they are actually available on AliExpress, I have come to the conclusion that I'm going to change the title of this video, and it's going to be the top affordable eyeshadow palettes that you can buy online video, because I've realised a lot of these palettes now, you know, I've had them for a while. They're not currently being sold on AliExpress, but they're on Amazon or they're on other places online. So, you know, I don't want to, I don't know, I just don't feel like it has to be AliExpress. So I just feel like my whole commitment to this series is kind of waning a little bit at this point. But anyway, I hope you don't mind. Anyway, I'm going to just tell you about all these great palettes that are from great places, and they're very affordable. Okay, right, so let's start. Okay, so the next palette I want to tell you about is by the fabulous TZ Cosmetics. This is called the Firefly Forest palette. This reminds me very much of a Tarte eyeshadow palette that I can't really remember the name of. It could even be the Tarte palette, the more kind of, you know, neutral, cooler tone palette that they created. But anyway, this is absolutely gorgeous. The eyeshadows are created using clay, which makes them extremely pigmented, but also quite smooth and creamy. They're not the easiest shadows to work with because they are so supremely pigmented, but the colour payoff is brilliant if you just are willing to spend a bit of time, persevere a bit, you know, building up the look. You can create such an extravagantly beautiful look with this palette. So as you can see, we do have a lot of neutrals going on, and all of the circular shadows are mattes, and then over here the square patterns are shimmers, and then we have a beautiful kind of midnight blue duochrome at the top. I just think that this palette is perfect if you are a little bit of a grungy goddess, if you love the whole kind of 90s makeup look, if you love neutrals. You know, this definitely I feel is a must-have. You get a lovely big mirror in the palette. Just the whole aesthetic of the palette is beautiful. Okay, so the next palette is a little bit more playful and colourful than the TZ Cosmetics. So this is by the Little ELFOS brand. You can buy this on Amazon, or you can buy it on the Little ELFOS website. So this is called the Scorpio 30 colour eyeshadow palette, and this is what she looks like. It's actually quite similar, I feel, in idea to my Cellophane palette, in that you've got the colourful, bright, vibrant, playful shades, but you've also got the neutrals, so it creates a really kind of cohesive palette that, you know, you could literally just have this one palette in your life and you could just create a multitude of different looks. You've also got a mix of formulas. You've got mattes, you've got shimmers, you've got metallics, you've got kind of a pressed pigment, topper shades, duochrome shades. This palette is like the gift that just does not stop giving. She's so beautiful, such good quality, a lot of fun to play around with, and I'm really pleased to have her in my collection. Okay, so next we have a quad. This is by the O2O brand. So this is called the Moroccan Eyeshadow Palette, and the shade of this particular one is called Sahara Desert. They do have a couple of other kind of colour story palettes or quads, but this is the one that I have. She really reminds me of, you know, your Tom Ford, your NARS, your Charlotte Tilbury. And as we all know, like, I've never actually used one of those palettes, but to me, from what I've seen, she's very reminiscent of those kind of quad palettes, but she is a fraction of the price, and I would be willing to bet that the quality would be on par. I can't say that for sure because I've not tried the higher end palettes, but the quality of this is just so, you know, rich, creamy, pigmented. The metallic shades are just so creamy, smooth and glowy. I just don't know what more a girl or a guy could ask for, honestly. This one is beautiful, would be great for going on holiday. It's warm toned. You just end up with the most beautiful, warm, captivating eye, and I love it. Okay, so next we have a cream eyeshadow palette, and this one is by Novo. It's called the Soft Eyeshadow Makeup, is it? Soft eyeshadow, yes, I was right. So this reminds me of, like, you know, pencil case. It's very long and narrow. If I open her up, this is what she looks like. So you have 9 shades. So you have satin finishes, you have metallic finishes, and you also have a pressed glitter. They do sell this same kind of palette, but in a couple of different colour stories. This colour story just really was the one that sang to my vagina, because I love myself a bit of dusky rose. So the reason why I really wanted to mention this palette today, because I love myself a bit of cream makeup. I find that cream makeup is just so easy to use. It's low maintenance. You don't need to be messing about with any brushes. You can just literally go right in with your finger and you can just apply it to your lid. You can kind of blend it out. This palette is just a brush hater person's dream, because you do not need brushes to use it. You could take this palette on holiday and not have to bring brushes. You could just have her in your work bag. You could top her up throughout the day. Because the formula is cream, I find that on occasion, you know, you may get a little bit of creasing, or, you know, she may just not have the same lasting power as, say, a cream eyeshadow. But I just think she's brilliant, and I don't let that get in my way of my love for her. She's a really interesting palette, and I would definitely recommend if you're a fan of cream eyeshadows. Okay, so next we have, I think if I had to say, like, this would be my second favourite after my own palette. So this is by Febble. It's called the Eternal Charm palette. This is, just so extravagantly mesmerising. So this is the second Febble eyeshadow palette I bought. I know nothing about Febble other than the other eyeshadow palette. I'd never bought any other makeup by Febble, but I was so supremely impressed with the first palette. When I saw this one, I knew that I just had to buy her, and boy was I not disappointed. This palette is a mixture between mattes, you've got metallics, you've got a kind of foil, you've got a crushed pigment, and you've also got a pressed glitter. So the matte powders almost feel like a cream because they're just so smooth. They're so creamy, but they're not cream. They're a powder, but they're kind of like, they almost convince you for a second that they are a cream because they're just so smooth. These are so easy to work with. Some of the easiest eyeshadows that I have ever worked with in my life. The metallics are some of the most blindingly beautiful, glowy metallics you will have ever seen in your life. She's great for every day. She's great for, you know, going out partying. She's a great all-rounder, and I 100% recommend. And she's under £10, and I feel like they should really be charging about £25 to £30 for this palette. if they did, I would say that sounds fair and that's reasonable, because I definitely think she's worth it. Okay, so the next palette is the most affordable out of all of them, and it's by our favourites, Handaiyan. So this definitely has taken some inspiration from the Huda Beauty neon palettes. This one is quite simply called Pink. It's in this really like super cheap packaging, but do you know what, I can get over that because the quality of the eyeshadows for the price are just so good, and it's just such a fun palette. This is what she looks like inside. As you can see, she's super pastel, super pretty. She's just very kind of whimsical. Just a fun palette to have in your collection, especially if you're a fan of pastels. Similar to the Huda Beauty range, they do have this same kind of palette but in different shades. So they've got like the mint green one, they've got more of a purpley lilac themed one, and I think that they may even have like an orangey one. I've not tried any of the others, but you know, I can tell you that this one is brilliant. The formula is good. Are the shadows super pigmented? No, you definitely have to really kind of work with them to build them up and to get a good colour payoff, but I think, you know, that can be excused by A, because of the price is so super low, but also because this is a pastel palette, and I do think that you have to kind of treat and judge pastels as being different to other kind of bolder shades, because by their very nature pastel shades are very soft and very light. So yeah, you do have to kind of put a little bit of elbow grease into working with this palette, but she's definitely worth it and I really love her. Okay, so to finish off the video today, I have an eyeshadow palette from Ucanbe again, and again, other than my collaboration palette that I made with Ucanbe, this is definitely the standout Ucanbe eyeshadow palette for me. Of course, it's all personal preference. Ucanbe have just made a whole bunch of wonderful, affordable, beautiful eyeshadow palettes, but this is the one that for me, it just really, you know, I find myself reaching for, and I just have the most amount of fun with. So this is the Beautiful Belonging palette. She has been out for a while. A lot of people do say that she reminds them of a Urban Decay palette, of which the name evades me right now, but hopefully by the time I edit this I'll remember and I can just put the name down at the bottom. So this is what she looks like on the front, but more importantly on the inside. She is so beautiful. The reason why I love her is because she's a little bit more of like a darker, more kind of sultry and more of an intense palette. She features some really beautiful shades like the Midnight Blue, we've got Emerald Green, we've got Olive Green, we've got beautiful black, copper. I mean, every single shade in this palette is so gorgeous. My favourite shade is definitely this one here, which is the most beautiful charcoal grey, and it's metallic, and oh, it just looks drop dead gorgeous on the lids. I love the fact that we do get the standard neutrals just to play around with. I also love this beautiful kind of a fuchsia shade. You have a mix of shimmers and mattes with this palette. It's just a wonderful kind of everyday or, you know, day to night transitional palette. Oh my gosh, I felt like such an arse saying that then. Like such an arse. Day to night transitional palette. Oh my gosh, like who is she? I just really love this palette, and I would really recommend if, you know, you're a fan of smoky, grungy, deep and dark shades. You know, I always say I like dark things because it matches my soul. You know what I mean? On the outside, yes, I'm bubbly. Yes, I'm super friendly. I just am. But on the inside, there's a darkness. This is an absolutely beautiful palette, and yeah, I really recommend. Oh my gosh, so I completely forgot to mention the Ucanbe Fruit Pie filling. This is an absolutely beautiful palette, and one that I've actually been using a lot over the past couple of weeks. I can't believe I actually neglected to mention her, because she really is a must-have palette for a makeup junkie. She is full of these beautiful, vibrant, colourful shades, but she's also got some kind of muted, like forest green, khaki, chocolate brown. But she also has some really beautiful neutral shimmers. The quality of the eyeshadow formula is just wonderful. The mattes are very pigmented. I was wearing Milkshake today, which is it's kind of like a candy floss pink. She looked really, really good on the eye, and I actually didn't have to build her up a lot. The shimmers, again, beautiful. They give you that wet look sheen, a real pop of colour, and then you've also got this beautiful kind of pressed pigment down here, which is every cool tone lover's dream. She is an absolutely beautiful palette. Forget Jawbreaker by Jeffree Star. Get this one. If you're a makeup junkie, if you love just experimenting with makeup, if you've got people in your life who love playing around with makeup, this will make a really good gift. So yeah, this one is a fruit pie filling. I'm so sorry, fruit pie filling from Ucanbe. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the video that started out being something different to what it actually turned out being. I really, really hope you don't mind the change in purpose, or not purpose, but the change in video halfway through. I hope you don't mind, but you know, I spent so long like really kind of thinking about which palettes am I reaching for the most, which palettes do I get the most use from, which palettes make me the happiest, and which ones do I really, really just want to recommend more than the others. I spent so long kind of, you know, grouping this bunch of palettes together. I didn't want to just end the video because you cannot get them all on AliExpress. If you could let me know downstairs what some of your favourite affordable eyeshadow palettes are, that would be wonderful. I would really, really love to know, maybe get some tips, and I'm sure that other people would love to find out some other perspectives. I can't say that word, oh my gosh. Like, okay, I'm sure some other people would really enjoy some other perspectives as well, because, you know, as we all know, makeup is subjective and these are only my opinions. So anyway guys, I'm going to go, but thank you so much as always for watching the video today. I hope that you're doing well, I hope you're happy, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!